Midnight encounter. The hallway was too quiet. Claire shifted her weight, the cold marble floor biting into her bare feet. She cursed under her breath, gripping the takeout box tighter. Of all nights for this to happen, after a brutal board meeting, after firing a man she'd once trusted. And now, locked out of her own penthouse. With nothing but leftover pasta and a growing sense of humiliation, she'd only stepped out to check the noise in the hallway. Just for a second. But the heavy door had clicked shut behind her, sealing away her phone, her keys, her dignity. Her silk blouse clung to her back, the July humidity turning the air thick. She exhaled sharply, running a hand through her hair. Then, sound. A soft creak, the whisper of wheels rolling over carpet. Claire turned her head. At the far end of the hall, a man pushed a stroller, his hoodie pulled low over his brow. A little girl no older than 4 was bundled in a pink blanket, her head lolling sleepily against the seat. The man paused, his gaze landing on Claire. "You okay?" His voice was rough but warm, the kind that carried exhaustion and patience in equal measure. Claire straightened, forcing a smile. Just locked out. No phone, no keys. And apparently no common sense, he chuckled, adjusting the blanket over the girl's shoulder. Dignity's overrated anyway. So is cold pasta, Claire said, lifting the takeout box. Want some? He hesitated, then nodded toward the stroller. Ella's had nightmares all week. Midnight walks are our thing now. Claire leaned slightly, peering at the sleepy child. Hi, Ella. The little girl blinked, her fingers tightening around a worn teddy bear. She didn't speak, but her lips curled into a tiny smile before she buried her face back into the blanket. I'm Ryan, the man said, keeping a respectful distance. We live on the 5th floor, Claire. She studied him, the calloused hands, the faint shadow of stubble, the quiet steadiness in his posture. So, you're a night owl by necessity. Something like that. He rubbed the back of his neck. Used to do maintenance work? Now it's odd jobs, whatever pays. There was no self-pity in his tone, just fact. Claire found herself intrigued. How long have you been in the building? 6 months? His gaze flicked to her door. You need help? Getting in? She raised an eyebrow. Unless you've got a spare key, I'm out of luck. Ryan smirked. Then, without another word, he reached into the stroller's undercarriage and pulled out a metal hanger. Claire's lips parted. You're joking, old tricks, he said, crouching by her door. She watched, arms crossed, as he bent the hanger with practiced ease. His fingers worked deftly, twisting, probing. 2 minutes later, click. The door swung open. Claire burst out laughing. You just broke into my apartment. Technically, Ryan said, standing, I unbroke you into your apartment. She shook her head, still grinning. I owe you. He shrugged, tucking the hanger away. Just don't report me to building security. For the first time all night, Claire felt the weight in her chest lift. How about I buy you coffee instead? Ryan glanced at Ella, now fully asleep, then back at Claire. A beat passed. Then he nodded. Sure, why not? The next morning, Claire woke to the sound of her phone buzzing incessantly on the nightstand. She groaned, rolling over to silence it. But the events of last night flashed in her mind, Drian. The stroller, the way he'd picked her lock like it was nothing. Small smile tugged at her lips. She grabbed her phone and scrolled through her contacts until she found the building manager's number. Jeff, I need a favor. Ryan was elbow deep in a leaky sink when his phone rang. Wiped his hands on his jeans before answering. Ryan speaking. It's Claire from last night. His grip tightened slightly on the phone. Hey! Everything okay? Better than okay, she said, her voice smooth and confident. I need a handyman, specifically you. Ryan blinked. You're hiring me? Consider it a thank you for saving me from sleeping in the hallway. There was a pause, then she added, the pay's good. And the work's steady. He exhaled, glancing at Ella, who was sitting cross-legged on the floor, coloring. What kind of work? Fixing things, maintenance, maybe some minor renovations. Claire's tone shifted slightly, almost playful. Unless you're afraid of a challenge, Ryan smirked. I'll be there in an hour. Claire's penthouse was exactly what he expected, sleek, modern, and immaculate. But what surprised him was the warmth in the space. The books stacked on the coffee table, the half-empty wine glass on the counter, the faint scent of vanilla lingering in the air. She met him at the door, dressed in a crisp white blouse and black slacks, her hair pulled into a loose ponytail. Right on time. Ryan nodded, stepping inside. Where do you want me to start? Claire handed him a list. The balcony door sticks. The shower pressure's weak. And the kitchen drawer keeps jamming. He skimmed the list. This is all minor stuff. You could have called building maintenance. She tilted her head. I wanted you. The words hung between them, heavier than intended. Ryan cleared his throat. All right, I'll get to it. Hours passed. Ryan worked methodically, his hands sure and steady. Claire moved around him, answering emails, making calls, but her attention kept drifting back to him, the way his muscles flexed under his shirt, the focused set of his jaw. By evening, everything on the list was fixed. You're efficient, Claire remarked, handing him a glass of water. Ryan took it, their fingers brushing. You're observant. Occupational hazard. A comfortable silence settled between them. Then Claire gestured to the balcony. Come sit with me. The city lights stretched out before them, a glittering sea of gold and white. Ryan leaned against the railing, exhaling slowly. Nice view. Claire sipped her wine. Better with company? He turned to look at her. Why'd you really hire me? She met his gaze. 'Cause I liked you. Ryan stilled. Claire laughed softly. Not like that. Well, not just like that. She swirled her glass. You were kind and good at what you do. That's rare. Ryan studied her. For a long moment. Then quietly he said, Ella's mom left when she was a baby. Just packed up one day and never came back. Claire's expression softened. I'm sorry, he shrugged. It is what it is, but I promised myself I'd never rely on anyone again. Claire stepped closer. There's a difference between relying on someone and letting them in. Their eyes locked. The air between them crackled. Then Ryan's phone buzzed. Ella's babysitter. He sighed. I should go. Claire nodded. Tomorrow? Ryan hesitated. Then, with a small smile, he said, Yeah, tomorrow. Ryan arrived the next morning with his toolbox in one hand and a paper bag in the other. Claire opened the door, already dressed for work. But her sharp business attire was softened by the slight disarray of her hairs, if she'd been running her hands through it. You're early, she noted. He held up the bag. Breakfast. Figured you'd probably skip it. Claire blinked, then took the bag. The scent of warm croissants and coffee drifted out. You're not wrong, she admitted. Ryan followed her inside already. Scanning for the next repair, but Claire hesitated near the kitchen island. You don't have to jump right into work, she said. Eat with me. He paused, then nodded. They sat across from each other, the morning light spilling over the marble counter. Claire took a slow sip of the coffee he'd brought, black, no sugar, exactly how she liked it. How'd you know my order? She asked Ryan. Smirked. Lucky guess. Claire narrowed her eyes playfully. You're full of surprises. He shrugged. Not really. Just pay attention. A beat of silence. Then Claire set her cup down. So, former maintenance worker, expert lockpicker, single dad. What else don't I know? Ryan's fingers stilled around his coffee. Why the sudden interest? Because Claire said simply, I want to know you. Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them. Finally, Ryan exhaled. I was an engineer. Worked for a tech firm until they got caught falsifying safety reports. I blew the whistle. They buried me instead. Claire's breath caught. That was you? She remembered the scandal vector systems, the lawsuits, the executive who'd gone down fighting. Ryan's jaw tightened. You've heard of it? Of course. I have. Claire leaned forward. You were right. Their code was flawed. People could have died. He looked up, surprised. Most people think I was just some disgruntled employee. Most people are idiots. A slow, reluctant smile tugged at his lips. Claire mirrored it. Then softer, she asked, Is that why you're doing odd jobs now? Ryan nodded, blacklisted. No company would touch me after that. Claire's fingers tapped against her cup. I would. He froze. She held his gaze. My company. We could use someone like you. Ryan's voice was rough. Shh. You don't even know what I can do. Then show me. Later that night, Claire found herself in Ryan's tiny apartment, surrounded by schematics and half-built prototypes. Ella slept soundly in the next room as Ryan explained his workup. Neural interface that could revolutionize prosthetics. Claire traced a finger over one of the designs. This is incredible. Ryan rubbed the back of his neck. Just a side project. She looked up at him. This is more than that. You know it is. He met her eyes. The air between them thickened. Claire stepped closer. Why haven't you shown this to anyone? Because after Vectra, I stopped trusting the system. His voice dropped. I didn't think anyone would believe in me. Her hand found his. I do. Ryan's breath hitched. For a moment, neither moved. Then slowly he tangled his fingers. With hers, the storm rolled in fast, dark clouds, swallowing the skyline, rain lashing against the windows in furious waves. Claire stood at the floor-to-ceiling glass of her penthouse, watching lightning fork across the sky. Looks like you're stuck here. For a while, she said, glancing over her shoulder at Ryan. He was crouched by the fireplace, stacking logs with practiced ease. Power might go out. You got candles? Claire smirked, afraid of the dark. Ryan struck a match, the flame casting shadows across his face. Just prepared. The fire crackled to life, warmth spreading through the room. Claire grabbed 2 glasses and a bottle of whiskey, joining him on the rug. Might as well make the most of it. Their fingers brushed as he took the glass. A spark not just from the static in the air. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, the world felt small. Just the two. Of them, the fire, and the unspoken thing thickening between them. Claire took a slow sip. Tell me something you've never told anyone else. Ryan swirled his drink. I used to write poetry back in college. She laughed. Poetry? Hey? You asked? He nudged her knee with his. Your turn. Claire hesitated. Then softer. I haven't been on a real date in 3 years. Ryan studied her. Why not? Too busy. Too guarded. She met his eyes. Too afraid of picking the wrong person again. The fire popped. Ryan's thumb traced the rim of his glass. And now, Claire didn't answer. Instead, she leaned in slow. Giving him time to pull away, he didn't. Their lips met, whiskey and warmth and years of loneliness melting between them. Ryan's hand cradled her jaw like she was something fragile, precious. Claire fisted his shirt, pulling him closer. A crash of thunder startled them apart. The lights flickered, then died. In the firelight, Ryan's pupils were blown wide. Claire's breath came fast. Then Ella's voice crackled through the baby monitor. Daddy, I'm scared. Ryan closed his eyes, resting his forehead against Claire's. I should go, she whispered. He stood, but paused at the door. This isn't over, Claire. Smiled. Better not be. The boardroom was silent when Claire dropped the file onto the table. His name is Ryan Carter, she said, voice cutting through the tension. Former lead engineer at Vectra Systems. The man who exposed their fraud when no one else would. Rippled through the room. One of the senior partners, a silver-haired man with a permanent frown, leaned forward. You want us to hire a handyman as a lead developer? Claire didn't flinch. I want you to hire the man who built this. She tapped her tablet, and Ryan's neural interface prototype lit up the screens. Gasps followed. Across the room, Ryan stood. Stiffly in a borrowed suit, Ella clinging to his hand. He hadn't wanted to come. Had argued that this wasn't his world. But Claire had gripped his face that morning, still warm from their night tangled in sheets, and said, Let me fight for you. Now, as the board fired off technical questions, Ryan answered each one with quiet precision. His voice grew steadier. As he explained the prototype's potential, how it could adapt to nerve signals faster than anything on the market, how it could change lives. Claire watched pride swell in her chest. The silver-haired man sat back. And you're certain this works? Ryan met his gaze. Test it yourself. A beat. Then Dash nodding. The vote was unanimous. Later, on the rooftop terrace of Claire's penthouse, Ryan exhaled for what felt like the first time all day. Ella danced around them, chasing fireflies in the twilight. "You didn't have to do that," he said. Claire laced their fingers together. "Yes, I did." Ryan turned to her, thumb brushing her knuckles. "Why? Because you were always more than they saw." She stepped closer, and "I see you." Ella crashed into their legs, giggling. "Daddy, look." She held up a lightning bug, its glow flickering against her tiny palms. Ryan scooped her up, pressing. A kiss to her hair? Over her head, his eyes locked with Claire's. No words were needed. The city lights stretched endlessly below them. But here was everything.